time. So as a leader, you want to pay attention to equal pay rights. Let's talk about bullying for a minute, which can be just as costly. Bullying in the workplace is on the rise. Managers need to create an inclusive environment. And bullying often happens to the different person, the person of a different religion, the person who wants to sit aside on Friday to go pray, the person who has a different holiday, the person who has a different orientation, or sometimes the person who is overweight. These trends are very similar to the bullying trends that you see in our high schools and in our elementary schools. And many states are responding, especially New Jersey, are responding with a no-tolerance law. What does this mean to you as a manager, a leader, a supervisor? You cannot allow bullying to happen in your workplace for any reason. Bullying means harassing, offending, socially excluding someone negatively, affecting someone's work or tasks. It happens repeatedly. It's over a period of time and an escalating process. The person confronted ends up in an inferior position. Bullying is very similar to harassment. Here's a definition of harassment from the EEOC. Harassment is unwelcome conduct that is based on race, color, religion, sex, including pregnancy, national origin, age over 40, disability, genetic information. Harassment becomes unlawful. Enduring the offensive conduct becomes a condition of continued employment. Or the conduct is pervasive enough to create a hostile work environment that even a reasonable person would say, this is hostile. Who would possibly want to work here? Harassment and bullying look very much the same. Bullying happens to at least 37% of the workforce, which translates to 54 million people are affected by bullying in our country. 72% of the perpetrators are bosses, while 55% of the targets are rank-and-file folks. Typically, it's bosses picking on their staff. However, it can go the other direction. People can bully up as well. No matter which direction the bullying is going in, it creates a difficult environment for anybody to work in. Bullying is about power and control. It is about manipulating the situation. And the difference between poor management styles, because some people say, oh, he's just a bad manager. He doesn't know what he's doing. A bully intends to undercut the target. The bully intends to hurt you. The bad manager just doesn't know what they're doing. But the bully is doing it on purpose. Women, unfortunately, tend to be the target more often than men. That is because women tend to be in more subordinate positions in the entry level and in the middle management ranks. While men target men and women equally, women bully other women 71% of the time. So also by the proportions here, women are just the targets more of women and equally of men, making them, unfortunately, more targeted than men. With women being more likely targets in the organization, if you do the math, that means this organization is lined up for a gender discrimination case. We've talked about how women are at the targets, how women are in the subordinate position in entry level and middle management. Just by logic, that means organizations need to be particularly careful about gender discrimination cases when you have people bullying women because of their gender. And let's think about bullying and the law. Employers who ignore bullying can have a particularly difficult and expensive time. Constantly insulting employees, treating them differently, having off-color jokes can motivate an employee to file a formal complaint. If the target is of a protected class, you're picking on somebody because of their religion, because of their race, because of their age, the bullying can lead to a charge of harassment. So what is the cost to employers? This is expensive stuff. First of all, the cost to replace an employee is 30%. Every time someone leaves your organization, you just lost 30% of their salary. So if I have an employee who's making $50,000 and they've been bullied and they leave, that's $15,000 down the drain in recruiting, retraining, and retaining that employee. If I have other people who leave the organization because they have witnessed bullying, you are now paying to replace them as well. Turnover is expensive. Let's consider the cost to defend a lawsuit. As I've stated before, bullying can very quickly turn into harassment. So now you've got a gender discrimination harassment case on your hands. And let's suppose the person filed a flawless claim, something that just doesn't count. It's still going to cost your organization $75,000 to get to what's called summary judgment, even if the judge throws it out and doesn't let it go to court. If the case goes all the way to court, you're easily spending six figures, upwards beyond $150,000 in deposition costs, discovery, documents. It's expensive to defend bad behavior. So as a leader and as a manager, you want to protect your organization from these kinds of things. Because you better believe if you're busy defending a lawsuit, that means you're not busy doing your job. There are some personal effects for the one being bullied. There's hair loss, weight swings, reduced immunity, indigestion, and headaches. You feel pretty bad. There are emotional problems. Not sleeping, you're stressed out, and stress can really wreck your health. Might face depression, have a shattered faith, or engage in self-destructive behaviors. Alcohol, drugs, what have you, the kinds of things people engage in to alleviate the stress. There are other issues too. Paid time off, that's an economic issue to your organization. If you keep taking time off and you run out of sick days, now they're going to start docking your paycheck. There's the FMLA. That costs the organization. They've got to hold your spot, but you've now taken intermittent leave. There's potential termination. Potential termination either of the bully or the person being bullied because of a misunderstanding. Remember going back to that 30% that your organization is going to pay every time someone leaves. And there are social effects. The isolation at home, the isolation at work you feel, marital strife or other relationship problems because you're really not trusting anybody. You've already been overstimulated at work by bullying. Perhaps that feeling of abandonment. Bullying can really tear up your experience just in your workaday life. You spend more working hours and waking hours at work than you do with your spouse, your kids, your family. You really need to have a healthy work environment and avoid the bullying. So let's imagine you're a leader, you're a supervisor. You don't want your staff feeling like Charlie Brown. What do I do? What do I do? That's how he felt with Lucy, right? Lucy was a bit of a bully, remember? How productive is your staff? They're being bullied. They're not going to want to engage in a toxic environment. They're on Twitter. They're on Facebook. They're looking for another job. They are not trying to engage in an environment that does not support them. How engaged are they? Are they really interested in meeting deadlines? Or are they really interested in not being affected by the bullying? How long will they stay? Even in this economy, people will leave. They will find a way to leave, and when they leave, they will tell your organization or tell other people about your organization. It's not a nice place to work. It's very tense there. You all know that now when you're looking for jobs. You know who the good bosses are. You know what organizations to work for because you hear it from your friends. The same thing occurs to leaders in organizations that allow bullying. One thing we certainly would need to do, and we're doing a little bit of that this evening, is reflecting. A lot of times leaders are overwhelmed, overstressed, and forget their right mind. And then clinically that happens. There's a book by Finkelstein in 2009 that talks about why good people make bad decisions. So I don't know if any of you watched The Simpsons. One of those crazy episodes I saw was when Bart got to keep pushing the button on the electromagnetic thing and zap his family. Zzz, zzz. Every time zzz, you're getting zapped. Like every time your phone rings, you have an exam, you have to do, you've got to run here, you've got to do this, and you're overstimulated, and you're running. And when do you have a chance to say, ooh, I should have gotten an oil change? Then your car conks out. Or if you're running so much, you left your thumb drive in the computer lab. As leaders, you need to give yourself a chance to reflect and to relax because even your brain becomes overstimulated. Even you, no matter what age you are, you need to relax and give yourself a chance to reflect on the decisions you want to make. You want to engage in introspection. You want to know yourself. The self you are now is going to be different 10 years ago and even different again 10 years from that. And as you're growing, and this is for anybody of any age, you want to keep looking inward to see what it is that you like. What will change? Will your health change? Will the economy change? Will your major change? Graduate school, children, what have you. All of these changes do require some introspection. And so leaders need to take a moment, like our friend here. We're going to relax and think about what kinds of decisions we need to make and be productive